right, hit that like, everybody. Let us know we're here. Let the people around you know. Share it on your socials. Blast the show out. I think it's working. Can you hear me? All right.
See you on 2.
We're here. Ready to go. And let's see what happens if I push this button. Wait, where'd my camera go? What's happening? Hold on. Wouldn't you know it? Let's see. Hold on. I have to go to, let's see, this screen. I have to, hold on. I'm here, though. You can hear me. It's Invisible Show today. I'm phoning it in. No, I'm kidding. Hold on one second. Hopefully this won't crash everything. Sometimes when I go into studio mode on this thing, it wigs out. So apologies if something takes a giant crap. Go. Click to the thing, you silly person. All right, well, screw it. I won't be able to. Me, the thing. Do. Why is the camera not showing right now? Oh, yeah. There it is. Now I'm back. There we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell. just a weird thing with the green screen and the whatever, and fixed it, and it's fine. But sound is all right, and that's the important thing. Hello, hi, hey, how you doing? What's going on? All right. Oh, and I've got to start up on the Insta and the Gram. We are live on Instagram right now. We're live on, there we go. Okay, so we're up and running. Now, chat room, hi, how you doing? I might as well, since I'm playing with fire, I might as well. Hi there, everybody. Good look at you guys. All right. Peekaboo. You're not muted. You have audio. I can see the audio going out. You could not mess with me. Really? Oh, yeah, there's no audio when my camera was on that thing. That's fine. Everything's fine. I was fixing that when the dark scene is on, that's just it's a nested scene. It's not important. It's just, yeah. You guys will catch up in just 1 second with this little thing. Let's scroll this down. There you go. Hey, all right. Now we're good. Look at this. I was the Invisible Man for a moment, you know. We can't let that stand though, because God knows there are two things I like better than, you know, the sound of my own voice, and that's the look of my own face and something else. None of your business, okay? Simmer down. Hi, chat room. Good to see you. Hit that like, everybody. Do me some good. Share the show. Help us grow this thing. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Great way to support the show on the regular. Venmo also. We get lovely people. I'm always. I don't quite know. If you donate by the Venmo and it's okay that I mention you, put a little asterisk in there, because I can't tell if people want to do that, to do stuff sort of behind the scenes, as it were. Yeah. And why did my show just like start all over again on that thing? Okay, hopefully we're okay. I'm just closing that window because it's going to cause me trouble. Back and muted. Yes, we're fine. Okay, all's well. We're good. Live. Everything's excellent. Fantastic. So damn what? So that's very sweet. All right, so much to cover today, and Biden just spoke at the NATO gathering, and let's see if I have it. Yeah, I have that too. So apparently, this is very upsetting to the folks over at in maggot world. The Freedom Caucasians are really upset about this fact, and to them I say, so what? Fuck you. Yes, I'd play it. I mean, we could go through it, I suppose. And let's see. Yeah, this is. Let's see if it goes in here, because it's history. Moment of details, and then we're talking this stuff. Stoltenberg speaks. I think this is after. Here we go. So bring it up a little bit. Yeah. So by the way, I'll show you. Just pointing out the fact that this is it's pretty. This whole it's just pretty. The whole thing is very pretty. Listen here, buddy. That is a fancy pants kind of a place there, buddy. Look at that place, man. That looks like it's inside of like America's birthday cake. You buddy, they got more flags than a Benetton ad. I swear to God, there's more flags on that stage than a Brazilian soccer match. Dude, let me tell you, it's impressive, y'all. That is good stuff. So, I'll show you part of Biden's speech. I recommend watching the whole thing if you feel like it, but here we go.
Good evening. Welcome. In 1949, the leaders of 12 countries, including President Truman, came together in this very room. History was watching. It had been 4 years since the surrender of the Axis powers and the end of the most devastating war the world had ever known. Here, these 12 leaders gathered to make a sacred pledge to defend each other against aggression, provide their collective security, and to answer threats as one, because they knew to prevent future wars, to protect democracies, to lay the groundwork for lasting peace and prosperity, they needed a new approach. They needed to combine their strengths. They needed an alliance. And here they signed the Washington Treaty and created the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the single greatest, most effective defensive alliance in the history of the world. Mr. Secretary General, leaders of NATO countries, foreign and defense ministers, representatives from partner nations and the European Union, and members of Congress, distinguished guests, welcome, welcome to the 2024 NATO Summit. It's a pleasure.
And this is, I will say, wonderfully normal, like this speech. And then at the right afterwards, he gave Stoltenberg the Medal of Freedom, I believe, which is let's see if we can get to that part. Yeah, there he is. He gave him the Medal of Freedom. They did a little ceremony. It was completely normal. It was a clear speech. It was like, there was no like, oh dear God, will he be able to get through it? Like nothing. It was just really fucking great and normal and human and all that stuff. Yeah, it's this is you know, in a field, no big deal. Now, again, these are our allies. These are our partners in democracy. These are countries that run on the same values we have as a country. And of course, you know what that means? That means it panics dickheads like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's on, I guess, the second tier at the Capitol. I don't know if she thinks she's spying on the NATO gathering where they're having a little breakfast. They had like this breakfast in the dome gathering. I'll show you. It's again ferociously normal. So of course anything normal and functional freaks people like Marjorie Taylor Greene out. So here she is panicking that there's French people having eggs or some shit.
We're in the Cannon House building. This is where my office is here in Washington, D.C.
Not for long, dummy.
And today, this week, NATO is launching their 75th summit.
They're launching their 75th summit. I guess you just want to use the word launch to make it sound violent or something. They're having it. They're launching their next year, I guess, but they're having a summit.
So here in our United States House building, I want you to see their gathering.
There's a bunch of foreigners down there, and all of them are welcome guests. Dear God, look at them. Heathens all, dressed in their traditional tribal wear. Yes, I don't know. It's like looking over the balcony at a Ramada Inn convention center when plumbers are in town. I don't know. Or a realtor convention.
They're having breakfast right now, and then after breakfast, they will be proceeding into the Nancy Pelosi caucus room.
Okay. Thanks very much. Don't worry, everybody relax. We will have a reason to panic any second now. Just hang out. I'm sure she'll tell us that the baby eating starts at 2 p.m.
where they will be meeting. And the whole purpose of the meeting, the Ukraine 75th summit, the NATO 75th summit is about the country where Ukraine.
Okay, no, it isn't. It's about the alliance and the fact that they added stuff, different people. Hey, let me tell you something, lady. That's the biggest thing. Like, you wouldn't discuss the Israeli-Gaza thing because it ain't on the North Atlantic. It isn't part of Europe. They do a different thing. Different people. I'm just saying, if you maybe think about it, why they talk about that kind of the biggest fucking thing going on, like in the neighborhood. Know what I mean? Because, like, let me tell you something. In my neighborhood, we have never had a flossing convention. You understand what I'm saying? Because it doesn't apply. Let me tell you what. So, but sometimes we'll have, like, the International Meth Advisory Board will get together. That's what we lovingly call them. But they definitely, they hear more than once a year, I'm pretty sure. Jesus.
And NATO is coming together, supporting the war in Ukraine, continuing. I, for one, have been very spoken out about there should be peace in Ukraine.
You've been very spoken out? Hey, hold on one second, lady. You've been very spoken out? Say that again.
I, for one, have been very spoken out about there should be.
Listen, lady. Do you know how much work you have to do to have an even weaker grasp of the English language than I do? Outspoken, you dipshit. Spoken out. Maybe you all spoke out like a fucking tire on a Huffy bike. Spoken out.
Peace in Ukraine, and there should be a full effort by NATO, by the United States of America for peace for this country. Anyone that says they support Ukraine should support peace for Ukraine.
Yes, which would, I guess, entitle them to a future wherein Russia will not ever attack them again. Which would be, of course, peace for that country would necessitate driving the Russians out entirely or as much as fucking possible, establishing a permanent border, and accepting them into NATO or as part of the EU at the very least right away to make Russia think twice about doing this shit a third time.
What's happening in Ukraine needs to end. Right now there is...
Oh, you mean all the deaths of Russian soldiers like the fucking meat grinder? I can see why it's upsetting.
Is an untold, unknown number of Ukrainian men that have been killed.
No, they know how many have been killed. They know. You can actually go there as a member of Congress. They'll tell you.
Conscription teams roam the streets in Ukraine, scooping up teenage boys and any men that they see.
No, that's what you and Marjorie or you and Boebert do.
Maybe men that are working their jobs or men that have not served in the military yet, and they grab them, they take them away from their mothers, they take them away from their homes. No, stupid. That's what Russia does. Take them away from their jobs and throw them on the front lines to serve in the war. The war's been going on for about 2 years.
What? Why wasn't I informed? 2 years? And you're just bringing this up now?
And many of the Ukrainian soldiers serving there have had little to no break fighting in the war. This is a war that can easily be ended.
Yeah, all they got to do is surrender and let Russia rape them out of existence. I mean, come on. Cut and dry.
Trump has talked a lot about if he was president, the war would have never happened.
Yeah, that's commonly what we refer to as bullshit. You might call it fake news, but he's been saying it so long, it's not even new.
And once he becomes president again in his next administration...
Not happening.
This war will be immediately over.
No, it will not. He will not be able to force the Ukrainians to surrender. Dum-dum.
I would think that people all over the world would be fighting for that, and members of NATO should be supporting an end to the war.
They are. But they're supporting an end to the war that doesn't mean another war and another war and another war where Russia just gets to, like, reload and try again. Fuck off. Without Trump, without NATO, without anybody, this war could be over tomorrow if Russia just pissed off.
That's killing a huge generation of Ukrainian men, leaving mothers mourning for their dead sons.
Again, you're talking about Russia, but keep going.
Leaving women as widows and leaving children fatherless. This is something that should stop.
Yes, and Russia could stop killing them tomorrow. It's not their fucking country. And you could call on Vladimir Putin, who's best buddies with your candidate, to stop immediately. You could say, Russia needs to stop this war right now and go the fuck home. Weird. Why is the impetus on Ukraine and all of its friends? Why is there not a single mention, other than the fact that you're a grifting shithead who's, you know, obviously linked to Russia through Trump's crowd and all that stuff, whatever. But just saying, is there a reason you don't bring up at all that it could be over in a second if Russia just fucked off?
But it's not, because the purpose here at this NATO conference is they want to continue this war.
No, I think they're talking about ending it the way Russia doesn't want it ended. So fuck off.
And they want to find a way to fund it and continue this war, even if President Trump is president of the United States. That is their stated goal. It has been stated here in Washington, D.C.
Well, why would they have to fund it if he can end it tomorrow? If he gets in there, why would they need to give the funding anymore? I mean, the Russia will own Ukraine. The Ukrainian people will cease to exist. Those that fight back and want to keep speaking their language or live their lives or whatever will, of course, be rounded up in camps. We've all seen this movie before. It's one that you celebrate. Why would it continue if Trump became president? Wouldn't he be able to flip a switch?
And it's been stated across NATO. And I think that's a shame. It's horrible, and this needs to stop.
Right. So Russia, fuck off. Yeah, I agree. Russia, goodbye. Get the fuck out. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you so much for stating that the war needs to end and Russia needs to fucking pound sand.
What we should do is we should be pushing for peace.
Right. What would that entail? Besides Ukrainian surrender and the rape and murder of everyone there. That, I mean, obviously, I gotta say, technically speaking, I wouldn't put that under what we call the dome of the definition of peace in any way. That would be surrender at best, but it would also just be a murder spray. This is peace in the same way that not prosecuting Ted Bundy would be a great move for women's rights.
Ending this war, and I fully support President Trump's plans to end the war in Ukraine.
Oh yeah? What does that plan entail? If you support the plan, you must know what it is, right? Yeah. Anybody? Does that sound weird to anybody? That if she supports the plan, she must know what the plan is. You wouldn't support a plan if you didn't know what the plan was, right? You know what I mean? I got a plan for curing your cancer. It involves blowing your brains out, right? You wouldn't go, ooh, a plan to cure my cancer. Yes, your cancer will die if you die, so that will get rid of your cancer. It'll get rid of the rest of you too, but you can't argue with success. Is this? What if that's the plan? Which it kind of is. Like, as analogies go, it's pretty rock solid. So what plan do you support other than the absolute surrender of Ukraine?
And to stop, and our country needs to stop funding foreign wars.
Mm-hmm. So you're against Israel funding. You don't want Israel to get any more money at all for their Iron Dome, no defense funds for Israel as well. Please say so. Knock yourself out. We'll all wait.
We need to absolutely stop funding foreign wars and the continuous of this. And we had.
We are. Oh, by the way, can I just say for the record, we are not funding foreign wars. We are funding an ally's defense. The war is the act of aggression. Being on the defensive side of a war, because this is not a war of a categorical ideology. One country attacked another. We're not funding a war. If we were, we would be funding Russia's actions. We are funding Ukraine's defense, not the war itself. Because again, the Ukrainians would love if Russia would just fuck off, and we wouldn't have to fund anything if they just left. So we are not
for
funding the war.
peace when President Trump was president, but
No, there wasn't. We just because he gave land to Syria, or to Russia in Syria, gave our bases there to Syria, and let the Kurds get slaughtered, does not mean he was. And by the way, the troops he moved out of Syria, he moved to Saudi Arabia to act as human shields in front of gas processing plants.
going forward, it
Refiners.
looks like NATO and the Biden administration, and unfortunately, many members of Congress here in Washington
Can't stop caring about what happens to the people of Ukraine. Those bastards.
are committed to the war in Ukraine. And
Well, they're defending Ukraine against the war on them. It's an important distinction.
and committed to funding this war. Americans don't want this.
Well, if we were funding this war again, we would fund Russia because they're the ones who instituted it. And if you want a forever war, you back Russia because they're not going to stop at Ukraine. Right? Especially if you pull out of NATO. Holy shit. What's to stop them from going into Poland next? Or Moldova? Or any of the old Eastern Bloc countries. They're fucked. Don't believe me? Ask Melania.
We want world peace, and we want any American tax dollars to fund the protection of our own border.
No, you don't, or you would have voted for the border bill. If you wanted any tax dollars to fund the border, you would have passed the border bill because it would have allocated tax dollars to the border. Unless we're all missing something. Sportfoot.
Our hard-earned tax dollars should not be funding a NATO that wants to continue a war in Ukraine.
They're not. I can't help. Am I the only person who... I don't know why every freeze frame where she's starting a sentence, she looks like Donkey.
Our hard-earned tax dollars should be supporting securing our southern border from the invasion of millions and millions.
But they are and would be if indeed you pass the border bill.
And millions of people from over 160 countries in the world. So I wanted to do this video standing right here among all the NATO members that are down here eating breakfast, walking by me, heading into the Nancy Pelosi caucus room to have their meeting. And I wanted to make sure that everyone here knows that Americans do not support funding and...
Yeah, they're not listening to you. Of course they do. Americans do. They do. By every measure, by every poll, by the constituencies, especially of the largest areas in the country, the place with that are most densely populated, I do. Most, if not all, of my viewers do. We're all aware of the stakes in this. I'm an American. I say, fuck you, lady. Now, you could say 1-to-1 we cancel each other out, but there are more people on my side than there are on yours. So the idea that you egotistically think that because you're a member of Congress from a district that's only job growth has come from the rescue plan that Biden put forward because it had green initiatives, and you got a fucking electric car battery plant in your district that grew 3,000 fucking jobs. And you softly take credit for how well your district is going when you voted against the bill that created that place in the first fucking place. I'm just saying, on this, the weight on the side of the argument is on my end. I'm just saying.
Paying for the war in Ukraine. Americans are sick and tired of it.
No, we're sick and tired of Russia raping and murdering civilians. That's what we're sick of. We're sick of the attacks on Ukraine from Russia. We're not sick of fighting back against it, though. We're a little bit sick of you defending them. That I agree with. I think chat room, yes. I think we can all agree that we're sick of people like her just kind of, rooting for more booches in the world,
We're fed up. We want it to end. We want to protect our own border, and that's what we want to pay for.
Yeah, gibberish. And again, what are you going to do? I guess what I should make abundantly clear is that everything she said is gibberish and completely misses the mark on every front. Now, let me show you something, the next one. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time because sometimes we avoid, let's see, I got to open up, where is it? There we go. Sometimes we avoid certain people because they're just aggravating and stuff. But I thought this was this sums up the argument on, or the sales pitch. Thank you, Luis. Yes, indeed. Fuck Russia. And DC 2257. Thank you so much for the super chat. Scram Marge. Thank you, Vicky, as well, for that. Appreciate it. And Joy, thank you for the super chat so much. Don't forget to hit that like, everybody. I just want to show you something where the sales pitch is very strong. The promise of what's in the video is very strong, so it has to pay off, right? It has to, if you're going to give us a thumbnail or and I'll see if maybe I can make the thumbnail come back up. Yeah? Okay. I don't know that this is much of a thumbnail. All right. Well, the title of the video really does say, I'll show you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jimmy Dore Show, and Jimmy Dore says, I'm not joking. Okay? Whatever. Demented Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is. Now that, considering he grew up in Scranton and he's from Delaware, that's a big statement. That is what we'd say that's a big sell right there. You know what I mean? And extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So I'm sure you and I are going to get an extraordinary clip that Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is, because that demented Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is! Exclamation point. Yeah. So here we go. Let's see.
Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas,
No, you won't.
Chicago, and Grand
No, you won't.
Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show.
Right. It's not really stand-up. You just do your show there. You actually do it sitting down.
Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com.
Yeah, don't go to the jimmydore.net. All right, here we go. So this is it. Demented Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is. Here we go.
He did it again. Joe Biden did it again, ladies and gentlemen.
He did it again. Whatever it is that he did this another example. So not only is this an example of him losing his mind, but it's another egregious example. Okay, whatever. This is, it's going to be rock solid. Let's hear it.
He was campaigning in Philadelphia, and listen to what he says. Now, let's remember, Joe Biden was the senator from Delaware.
Yep. Since
1846. So
that's a old person joke. I'm sure Kurt got his requisite nickel for that.
Let's remember. So watch this. Watch what he says.
But look, even when I was running for Senate, each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular got me across the line. No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously. Organizationally.
So.
All right. So he's going to explain more. Jimmy cuts it off, but I'm sure, the idea that during his Senate campaign, Philadelphia helped get him over the line is madness. I mean, it's halfway across the country.
The big thing is, Philadelphia is not in Delaware.
That's partly true. Right. Organizationally, as Philadelphia, the main city part, sure. We'll talk about the Delaware Valley in just a moment, but okay, go ahead.
And I'm pretty sure that's why Fetterman, who's behind him, is not applauding this. And he's leaning...
By the way, Fetterman's wife did applaud. Everybody else did while they were doing this. They're just listening.
On his verbal tics so hard. He has that verbal tic is, no, joke. No, I'm not joking. I really mean it. He can't stop saying that. He always has said that, but this is nuts. So watch this. Let's play it again.
Okay.
Look, even when I was running for Senate, each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular got me across the line.
His wife claps. Fetterman's got his arms crossed because he's watching and listening or whatever, but everybody else claps. Jimmy is shocked. Apparently, I don't know, maybe Fetterman's wife doesn't look like she's from Pennsylvania enough.
No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously. Organization.
He said it twice. I've got no joke.
Nobody cares. Yeah, it's a phrase. It's another way of saying sincerely, not hyperbole. He says that sometimes as well. This is I mean it. Because by the way, a lot of people make, egregious statements and they're either kidding around or they don't really mean it. And so he's trying to say this is not hyperbole or whatever. Anyway, so here we go. Jimmy Dore, tell us why Joe Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is.
I'm not joking. I really mean it. Like, this is his...
Yeah, nobody cares. We know that. He says that a lot. It's a thing. Nobody cares.
And then he
Organizationally and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal. But look, here's the deal. This election is going to be about block and tackling. Simple.
And organizationally and in terms of fundraising. Philadelphia area. Right? That's what he's saying. There is no confusion about any of this. And again, if you're going to have the title of this, Demented Biden Doesn't Know Where Philadelphia Is, then please, this next chunk, it's all riding on it, Jimmy. Give it to us. How does Biden not know where Philadelphia is? Here.
Basic politics. Simple. It's going to be a matter of how many signs we get out, how many doors we knock on, how many calls we make, and how many requests we answer. But look,
okay, so that's the entirety of the loop, right? So explain to us how he doesn't know.
I honestly, as big of a nightmare and a detriment to this country that Joe Biden has been his entire career, because he has.
Oh, of course. I mean, because Jimmy does better when unemployment is high. Jimmy does better, obviously he has huge investments. So he's got a lot of money. He's a millionaire. So he's got a lot of stocks. He's got a lot of money in gold. He told us he put a huge amount of money in gold and precious metals, right? He's following that kind of Glenn Beck arc, invest in pretty rocks instead of people, right? So here we go.
This guy drives me nuts more, Fetterman.
Yeah, he hates Fetterman more than he hates Biden because... I don't know, whatever. I don't care how you feel about him. You owe me an explanation about how Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is. That's the title of the video. Pay up.
That guy is such, but they all are. I mean, there's a video of Joe Biden saying, "I was willing to prostitute myself." This is like in the late 70s or maybe early 80s. They were doing some kind of.
Yeah, but just not in Philadelphia because he doesn't know where it is.
Thing on PBS where they had all these talking heads, and he was one of them. And he said, "Hey, I was willing to prostitute myself. I went to the guys with the big money, and they said you're too young, son. Come back when you're older." Well, guess what? He's older. So now he's a big whore.
Oh, then why isn't he rich? Honestly, I think Biden's net worth and Jimmy's are either equal. Or Jimmy's probably got more net worth than Biden does. And if that's the standard, but anyways, you owe me why that means that Biden, oh, well, fuck it. Hold on. Can I show you something real quick? Ken Jennings explains Delaware's very unusual border. You've seen it on maps before, but you ever thought about how weird the northern border of the U.S. state of Delaware actually is? Hold on. See if I can blow this up a little bit for you guys. Most state borders follow rivers, like the Connecticut River between Vermont and New Hampshire, or mountain ranges, the Bitterroots between Idaho and Montana, or boring straight lines, all four sides of Wyoming. But the top of Delaware is unique in America, a seemingly perfect circle carved out of southern Pennsylvania. Why the circle? There you go. This is the area, right? That's the map. You see that? Okay. This is Wilmington, Delaware. This is the river. This is the other side of it. This is a southern part of another city. Northern Wilmington is also known as Southern Philadelphia. That is the biggest national market nearby. That is, this area, Chester, and these other areas are seen as southern Philadelphia. This the entire valley around this are part and parcel elements of the media around Delaware, especially the bigger cities. Now, here's the thing. Here's the deal. Do you think Jimmy knows this? Because I'm not sure he actually fucking does. He certainly couldn't be bothered. Right? I'll cut out a clip of Jimmy saying I'm willing to prostitute myself. No, because I don't have to play by the same rules that he does. Right? I don't have to cut anything out of context. I can use total context and show you what an absolute failure and a dickhead Jimmy Dore is. Jimmy Dore is allegedly a touring comedian. Jimmy Dore has allegedly, insofar as I know, probably played Philadelphia at some point. Maybe he was even on the road like I was and did some of these dates where you drive between places. And you think? All right. So that's why, in terms of organization and fundraising, why Philadelphia played a large part in that, and why people who work and operate in Philadelphia, a lot of them will live in Wilmington, Delaware, or just over the border into Delaware. So you use the marketing in Philadelphia to reach those people while they're at work or while they're in the city, and then they come home for the weekends or they live out there. Anyway, so that's there we go. Here's Delaware. Here's the top part of Delaware. There's Philadelphia, southern Pennsylvania. That's a key part. Wilmington is obviously a part of that corridor. It's very important. It is also part of the stretch between Philadelphia and Baltimore and then into Washington, D.C. This is the train area where Biden took the train into D.C. This entire corridor is all tied together. This is more an example of Jimmy being as dumb as Marjorie Taylor Greene, thinking that people who were, born after the Revolutionary War signed the Declaration of Independence. Anyway, so here we go. But maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something else in this clip that he's already shown the whole thing of that proves to us that Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is.
He's out. So again, I'm bad at predicting things like this. I thought they would have never ran him the first time.
Right, and he won. I also, if you'll recall, said not only was he going to be on the ticket, but Kamala Harris was going to be his VP, and that they would win. I'm really good at this shit. I'm excellent at it. I was off by, I think, 2 votes in the lack of red wave, but I told you there wasn't going to be one. When the fucking Ukraine war was starting and everybody was like, no, it won't. And Ukraine was saying that. And I was like, I trust Biden and his people. It's fucking coming. And it was. I was up all night on election night 2020. And what did I fucking tell you? Trump was going to lose. You know what? He's going to lose again.
We've been calling Joe Biden a demented death rattle since 2019.
Right. And since then, he's passed the CHIPS and Science Act, the first infrastructure bill in almost 30 years, the rescue package. He's getting lead pipes out of America's drinking water. He is creating stronger environmental policies. He's passed the 2 biggest pieces of climate legislation on Earth, not just in the United States, not just in the history of the United States, on Earth, of all the countries in the world. And this asshole has been telling you he's bad news the whole time. This asshole has been rooting against him, has been rooting against under 4% unemployment for 26 months straight, rising wages over the arc of even strong inflation caused by supply shock, not monetary inflation, not anything to do with the amount of money in circulation, but an element of the money in regular people's hands, which also is the highest it's ever been. Jimmy's been against that. Jimmy's been fighting this. In the beginning, because he was allegedly for Bernie Sanders. And since then, he's turned on Bernie Sanders worse than anyone.
Because he is. And I think someone gave him the real, I think he didn't get the saline solution. He got the real vaccine.
Oh, I see. So this is going to turn into an anti-vax thing. So it's not his responsibility. He's not old and demented. He's got the vaccine has given him brain problems or something like that. Or I guess maybe he didn't get the anti-brainworm vaccine that I guess RFK Jr. passed on.
And his dementia has been accelerated.
Really? If that's true, then he wouldn't, I guess, remember that Philadelphia was crucial to his wins when he was running for Senate, which it was.
Now, of course not because of the vaccine. The vaccine is safe and effective.
And again, can you imagine dragging anti-vax bullshit into your dunk on Biden, who you've said is demented and old this entire time, and you can't resist attacking vaccines? I mean, in all fairness, am I to understand that Jimmy didn't get the vaccine? If that's the case, I got the vaccine and he's just gotten dumber and slower and weirder.
So you want to hear it again? I'll play for you one more time.
Look,
No joke.
even when I was running for Senate,
No joke.
each time I ran,
No
quite
joke.
frankly, not a joke.
Not a joke.
Philadelphia, in particular, got me across the line.
Brought him across the line. Philadelphia.
Yes, Philadelphia, in terms of organization and fundraising, and also because it's a huge media market that affects Delaware.
No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously. Organizationally, and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal. Well, look, here's the deal. This election is going to be about block and tackling, simple, basic politics. Simple. It's going to be a matter of how many signs we get out, how many doors we knock on, how many calls we make, and how many requests we answer. But look.
Okay. There you go. He did it again. He did it again.
What? What did he do? Described reality. I would argue that this is a clip of Jimmy doing it again. Overpromise and underdeliver. It's, he doesn't just do it with what he allegedly calls jokes that he squeezes out of Kurt and delivers like he's never looked at them before. Beyond that, what the fuck did we just watch? Except Joe Biden talking to a crowd of volunteers at an event space, exactly as any other politician does, and giving them credit for some of his earlier wins and saying, you guys are responsible for getting me over this, and this is why it's important, because it was. Seriously. I have to say, I don't know why he thinks this is a dunk. Other than he's stupid and doesn't realize how close Philadelphia is to Wilmington and that they overlap as far as people who live in Wilmington, work in Philadelphia, and I suppose vice versa. That's it. That's the whole thing. It ends with a Dr. Evil laugh from his old lady. I don't know if she's a wife or a girlfriend or a mean squeeze. I don't know how it works. That's it. That's the whole thing. That is his entire argument for demented Biden doesn't know where Philadelphia is. Now, again, the nature of my show is that I do not go through someone's entire live stream, pick out some area where they misspeak or shit the bed, and go, aha, I caught you, and allow for, in some ways, the assumption that the rest of the live stream must have been completely fine, and that's why I had to dig into this. I take clips that these people post as genuine representative chunks of their argument. This is a piece, this is a 5-minute and 31-second clip that Jimmy Dore put online that he thinks is a dunk on Joe Biden that specifically shows that Jimmy Dore has no fucking idea where Delaware and Pennsylvania are. Demented Jimmy Dore has no idea where Wilmington, Delaware is. How about that? Demented Jimmy Dore has no idea where the boundaries of the greater Philadelphia are. This Philadelphia area are the metropolitan area. And by the way, also, if anybody from New Jersey said anything about the Philadelphia market, he would probably say the same fucking thing. Not just because he's an asshole, and not just because he needs to make things up. And again, remember, this is after Biden's debate performance, which was the worst in fucking ever. So why would you need to even bring up new clips? Couldn't you just run shit over and over again, just dig in how bad that was? You wouldn't go outside of it at all. You wouldn't have to. And you certainly wouldn't have to make shit up or show off how fucking stupid you are. Would you? This is a video that Jimmy put up. This is indicative of Jimmy's argument that Joe Biden, who just told an anecdote about how the Philadelphia area, in terms of fundraising and organization, and I'm guessing the media area as well, was pivotal to his Senate runs in Wilmington or in Delaware overall. Which, for the record, it absolutely was. No question. None at all. But I'm glad he did it. I'm glad Jimmy put this clip up because it's a great example. He's right. This is a great example of the Jimmy Dore show. This is a clip that sells it, baby. This is a clip that says, you want to know who Jimmy Dore is? You want to know his comedic chops and his argument skills? Nothing sums it up better than a clip like that. A clip that he decided to pull out of his show and post. I mean, you can't argue with perfection. All right, and by the way, hit that like, everybody. Let everybody know you're here. We got a rock solid crowd in here, which is very good. But we need to share the show out on all of our socials and that kind of stuff to get it across the line and to build up our numbers. Because a lot of these shows, by the way, have a bunch of viewers, allegedly. I mean, obviously, my view numbers, my watch hours are equal to Jimmy's and to TYT's. I mean, millions of watch hours that I've got. But the difference is, of course, all my views are organic and are not, the product of like Indian and Chinese watch farms. Now, Trump has been missing for 11 days now. He did do an interview, though. He called in to Hannity. He didn't sit down with Hannity. Sorry, you only have YouTube. That's totally fine. Just subscribe wherever you are. And by the way, people out there, some people think that if you subscribe, that puts you in the chat when you show up. It doesn't. It gives you the option, but no, you can watch and you don't have to participate in the chat or any of that stuff. Same thing is true on Facebook. If you want to follow the page there, or you want to on Instagram. Hi, Instagram people. If you want to, jump in there and help us out on Instagram, subscribe. Hold on, my head is gigantic in this thing. I got to shrink this down a little bit. I'm just saying, do it. Yes, and fuck TYT. All right, so next up, let's take a look. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch this any more than I do, but we're going to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Trump calling into Hannity. And if you think some of the stuff you've been hearing from Democrats is hard-hitting and just sticking the knife in and twisting it, look at the title of the interview that Donald Trump gave to Sean Hannity. Okay, trigger warning. This might be a bit rough for some of you. Just check yourself. Oh yes, and I apologize. You're right. I should put this in. That's bad. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I feel because he was phoning it in, I didn't think about the pictures they're going to put up, and I forgot to put the nut warning up. I'm sorry if that some of you were eating or anything. Might be a good time to until I guess they pick. I'm assuming they're going to pick that weird staring picture where he thinks he's a pro wrestler and just put that in there where it's, but in this particular instance, this weird picture that they've got of him smiling, it's very clear. It's rough. See what I mean? Oh, God damn. So, I'm fine. This is the title of this. This is brutal, and it's why he's the master, ladies and gentlemen. It's why he controls the media narrative, because he's got what is it? Hold on, see if this should all work out. I hope so. Let's see. How does he describe it?
I know words. I have the best words.
Right. He knows words. He's got the best words. And what did he come up with after Biden's debate? Again, universally panned Donald Trump. Biden's voice was weak during the debate. Yeah? You think? Yeah, it sounded like to everyone he had a sore throat. Yes, we know. Yeah. Ugh, but you cut me to the quick, sir. Biden's voice was weak during the... All right. Bang, right? Hey, who am I to argue with? Obviously, a dwindling pile of maggots can't be wrong. Here we go. This is Sean Hannity interviewing Donald Trump.
And tonight, chaos is brewing in the Democratic Party as calls for Joe Biden to drop out are growing.
Speaking of calls, here's Donald Trump calling into the show because he's got shingles on his face so bad that people will think he's a leper or Robert the Bruce the Senior with syphilis in an attic if he comes on the air.
Joining us now for an exclusive interview on the phone.
He's exclusively on the phone with you? Is he? Really? You sure it's not a party line with Rudy Giuliani?
Former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, great to have you, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm fine. Thank you.
Let's go back to the debate with you and President Biden, because immediately you could notice his voice was raspy. But beyond that, within minutes, I could tell this was not going to be a good night for Joe Biden. What was going through your head at that time?
If anything.
Well, it was a big evening, and you could feel a lot of energy. Boy,
there was so much love in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may right now, when the shark bites with his teeth there. Anyways, we don't have love today, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have love anymore. What?
Energy like you haven't felt in a long time.
There was Viagra in the air. What? There was like we had damp Cialis pills taped to a fan blowing in my direction. It was an energy like never before. What?
On any of the debates, I've done a lot of debates, and we've had great success with debates, but this was something very special. For whatever reason, it just seemed big.
What? No, it didn't.
And when I got to Atlanta, and this was at CNN headquarters, there was a lot of excitement. There were trucks. I call them the $10 million trucks. That's with the antennas all over, and very incredible equipment.
What the fuck are you talking about? What did you think you were seeing? Like the opening of a stand-up special from HBO in the 70s? The $10 million trucks? What?
I'm looking at things that are, it's just more of a scene than it normally would be. And it really was that way right from the start, right from the moment they introduced us, and then they introduced him and introduced me, and I walked out and I saw him, and he looked extremely pale, to put it nicely. And I don't know, maybe it was a good makeup job, or maybe it wasn't, but he was a very pale-looking man.
Yeah, he always is. And you're orange.
And when he started to speak, I don't know, I thought his voice was weak. I didn't know exactly what was happening. It was
real quick. If you're going to say his voice is weak, don't have your voice go weak on the word weak.
I don't know. I thought his voice was a very pale-looking man. And when he started to speak, I don't know. I thought his voice was weak.
Weak.
I didn't know exactly what was happening. It was strange. I do have to say that the CNN, Jake and Dana, were really...
Dana?
They were pretty good. They really...
you mean because they didn't fact-check you?
I thought they were fair. I thought they were fair in the questions. I thought to me. But it was a strange evening. I will tell you, it was a strange debate because within a couple of minutes, the answers given by him they didn't make a lot of sense.
Well, let me ask you this.
Well, they were truthful. Even when he misspoke, a mild correction, just like misspeaking a word, that what he was actually saying was true, which is probably why it was confusing for Trump.
I think some of the worst moments for President Biden were when he wasn't talking. There was like this blank, vacant stare.
Oh, right. When he was looking over at Trump because Trump was farting. And he was downwind from it. That part. And also, it wasn't a blank, vacant stare. He was listening to him at one point. When he looked over, he was like, this motherfucker.
And it's like he was checked out, and I've run a montage of it.
I don't know. He looks like he's staring at someone who's full of shit right there. I got to say. Like, never mind your kind of, maybe he has resting what the fuck face, which he doesn't seem to. But a lot of the time, that's when he's listening to what Trump is saying. And I got to tell you, that's exactly the look a lot of us have when we listen to Trump speak.
When you were speaking and you'd look over, did you notice that too, or?
I was thinking about what I was saying. I wasn't looking over at him almost at all, except when he went a little bit.
Right. See what I mean? Like, all these shots, this isn't raw footage. They cut this together. And I got to say, they keep going back to this shot, and it's clearly a moment where Biden is looking at him going, what the fuck? Like, how else are you supposed to react?
Haywire. I didn't look at him at all.
There he is shaking his head. Notice they cut the head shake.
I'm very disappointed in him.
Where he's waiting to listen. He's just listening to him. But look how they cut at the top of it, where they're crossfading.
Look at him at all.
He just shook his head at something Trump said, and he's listening because he's going to address it.
And I'm very disappointed in him. He's the worst president in the history of our country. We've never had anything like it. What he's done to our borders, what he's done to our country, inflation, the people that he's hurting. He's destroying Social Security, All right, again, they're taking moments where he's listening to him. Even as bad as Biden did, he's still, you can tell he's listening to him and going, what? How do you even attack this? There's no reality here. Security. And people are, I'm just so upset with him as president.
Yeah, I get it. You're triggered. You're emotional about it, You'd feel better about it, I suppose, if you got if you had a nice lay down or something, but the whole thing is very upsetting. I'm very disappointed in him because he keeps passing things that I said I was going to pass quickly, and he did it, and now what am I supposed to do? I know what I can do. I can take credit for it after he does. Like the VA Choice Act, you just pretend you passed it.
And so I wasn't really looking over. I purposely wasn't. And I did take a couple of peeks when he was in the midst of giving some really bad answers. They weren't even answers. They were just words put together that had no meaning or sense.
Oh, you mean like we had H2O? Oh, wait, that was you. Sorry.
Well,
but for the most part, I didn't really look over.
Since before the 2020 election, on radio and TV, I have chronicled the fact that Joe looked weak and frail and that he was a cognitive mess.
Right. And I remember when you were, he made that, Sean Hannity made that clip of Biden saying...
the Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges.
No, that wasn't it. When he, when Biden said...
deliberately, willfully, and with total premedication.
No, it wasn't that. It was when Biden said...
an enormous, really an enormous
It couldn't have been that. Maybe it was when Biden said.
Assuming you're believing in atmospheric filth.
No, remember when Biden said, what was it? Shit.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
That's what it is. I remember when Biden said that.
Long before the election in 2020, the media, I call them state-run media, Democrats, they're all acting shocked, like this just came out of nowhere. Is this one incident, or is it, is this something permanent? I'm like, did they not notice?
No, it's permanent. Like, remember when Trump said this?
Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill.
Or I guess this.
To me, Corona means Italy.
That would, that might be right up there. Or, well, shit, one of our old chestnuts.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Yeah. Let me hear our Motang people in the chat room.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Yeah. Look, I've had several trips to Michigan that turned out very well. So for me, there is some truth to that statement. I don't think it's what he meant, though.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Yeah.
Michigan gave us Motang. Gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and what was the other one? I think one of the, like the new classics, I would call them.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Our
army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Yeah. And for the record, and by the record, I mean to Joe Rogan and all of his dipshit posse. Hey, Joe, fuckwad. He says airports twice. Listen again.
Our army manned the airport.
Right? There's one.
Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Yeah, he not only said we took over the airports in the Revolutionary War, but he says airports twice. He goes back to it. Also, ranned the ramparts. What is that? Is that a reference to like Rand Paul? Like they went to the ramparts and gave him a certificate from an ophthalmology academy that doesn't exist? Is that what randing the ramparts is?
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Yeah.
Purge the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing?
Yeah. I'm so glad that Sean has been cataloging these things.
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
Don't they? They do. Yeah. I'm sure everybody says that. That's exactly how it's like how you pronounce Christopher Columbus. I've always fucked that up.
Christopher Columbus. Christopher. Huh?
No, I think it's Christopher.
Christopher Columbus. Christopher. Huh?
Yeah, nobody talks like that.
Here I am like an idiot.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Okay, so where were we? Get back here. This dipshittery.
The guy can't give a press conference. Did they not notice that he doesn't use the big boy stairs getting on Air Force One? Did they not notice the plan to...
Because he broke his ankle during the campaign in 2020. Yeah, his leg's fucked up. His tendon is shorter because he broke his ankle. Still rides a bicycle, though. Trump has never, insofar as I know, broken his ankle and still can't ride a bike. Trump can't drive stick shift. Fuck that. Trump can't drive an automatic car. He cannot drive. He could drive a golf cart, but he cannot drive a car. And he sure as shit can't drive stick. Prove me wrong. Anybody. Feel free to disagree with me. There's zero lies in that statement. None.
around him as he walks to and from Marine One, that he wouldn't do a Super Bowl interview, a layup interview for any president, really. What part of his cognitive decline do you think they missed, or did they purposely cover for him, in your view?
Well, they cover for him, and they still are sort of covering, but now it's getting very difficult to do that. And, it looks to me like he may very well stay in. He's got an ego, and he doesn't want to quit.
Hold on. What do you mean he very well may stay in? He's got an ego. Didn't you say they already announced that he's stepping down in your little golf cart video that you, quote unquote, leaked?
He doesn't want to do that. It just looks to me like that's what he wants. I think Jill would like to see him stay. She's having a good time. I notice she really seems to be having a good time.
Oh, you mean his wife, who appears with him all the time and who loves him very much? That's, by the way, that's what most real relationships look like, in case you're confused by it. I understand why you might be.
I'm hearing that Hunter is calling the shots. So this isn't necessarily a very positive...
Yeah, I hear that Eric makes all of your biggest decisions. That's why he had to be around. He was there for every day of court, because he was making all the... I mean, he was even scheduling when you would fart and when you would shit your pants in court. Because Eric is the one pulling the strings. And, of course, behind him, Gary Busey.
Sort of thing for our country. But I think he, might very well stay in, and if he does... nobody wants to give that up that way. He's going to feel badly about himself for a long time. It's hard to give it up that way, the way where they're trying to force him out. So, I mean, you really have to speak.
You would know, because we had a bunch of 25th Amendment moments under Trump.
Speak to his doctors, but obviously he's been sheltered by the fake news media. That's why they call it the fake news.
Do they?
Do you, Mr. President?
Oh, wait. Hey, you know where this video's from? Where he's talking right here? He's at a black church with actual black people in it. Sean, you might want to show a wider shot. Yeah, pull back and show a wider shot. He's in a black church that has, like, black people that go to it, that are there, that are actually in the audience of the black church. That's where that's from. Just saying.
President, do you want Joe Biden to step aside? Do you care?
Well, we've prepared for him, but I don't think it's going to matter.
We've prepared.
We had a great 4 years. Our border was the strongest ever. Our economy pre-COVID was incredible, the best.
No, we were already heading into a recession. His recession literally came about during COVID, and therefore COVID covered for it. It was like he dug a hole that eventually became a sinkhole, and so nobody spotted how bad the hole he dug was.
Ever. But then when we got hit with the gift from China, the China virus.
Oh, you mean the thing where you took the pause on gain-of-function research off, and you cut all the security funding that was going to the Wuhan lab, which I think would create a perfect storm for something to leak out that maybe shouldn't have existed in the first place. That could possibly be.
That came in, and we did a fantastic job, and we got it back where the stock market was actually higher to just prior to COVID coming in. So, I mean, we've done a job. The military, we defeated.
Yeah, have you seen the stock market lately under Joe Biden? And he also got everybody vaccinated on top of that. That didn't. You haven't looked at it since? Have you not looked at it since? You haven't looked at the stock market since?
ISIS took out the worst terrorists in the world and defeated ISIS. That was a big thing. I was told it would take.
By the way, ISIS are the people who set off the bomb in Afghanistan when we were leaving. They are also the people who attacked the funeral for Soleimani in Iran. So I'm not even sure he knows which side of them he's on.
5 years, and it took us a couple of months. The military is fantastic. By the way, the military is not woke. The people at top are woke, but the military is never going to be woke. Those are incredible people. What they did for me in the fight on ISIS, and then we had no wars. I mean, I had no wars. We're heading into World War III, in my opinion, with this.
Whoa. We're not heading into World War III. We've been on the brink of the precipice of in the middle of World War III, if you think about it, for 9 months now, by my count. That you just blow off the couple of times he loosely mentioned it early last year.
And semi-running things, because he's not running things. The people that surround the Oval Office, the people that surround the...
Wait a minute. The Oval Office is surrounded?
Resolute desk, the beautiful Resolute desk, they're really running things in Washington, I suspect, and it's very...
You suspect?
Bad, and, you know, he got them into the warfare and lawfare, many different...
He got them into the warfare and lawfare. Sure, why not? What?
Different terms you can use, but...
yeah, but they're totally different. Warfare has nothing to do with lawfare, and lawfare is a play on warfare. This is, again, welcome to gibberish.
Basically going after your political opponent, using the Justice Department, using local DAs, using local attorney generals, going after your political...
Well, I mean, it certainly made it easy for him by committing a lot of local crimes.
Opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And
well, we've never had a criminal president like you before. We've never had someone who, like, absconded with classified documents, showed them to fucking Mark Meadows' biographer, and it didn't give a shit, literally on tape saying, you know, they're not declassified, and then refused to give them back. Like, it's kind of an extraordinary situation.
You know, there are those. I just read an article that it's been a positive for me, but it's not a positive. It's very unfair. It's fighting an unfair battle. But he's the one that got us into that, and all these lawsuits you see and everything else.
Also, by the way, no, he has not read an article that said that. He might have seen a headline on Fox Nation or something, but he didn't read the article. Donald Trump's not reading articles at all, just for the record.
It's all Biden-inspired, meaning Biden people inspired. And
yeah, Biden adjacent. You know, it's the same zip code.
And it's very sad. I think it's a very sad time for our country. We're not respected anywhere in the world.
Well, I mean, did you watch the NATO thing? Because it looks like we are. I'm just saying, it looks like a very respectable gathering. Now, granted, those people, when they saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, probably were like, "Oy, this is one of the downsides of democracy, guys." But they don't blame the rest of us.
Not respected, and our country's in very serious trouble. And I'll tell you what, if we're not careful, we're going to be right in the middle of World War III, and that will...
right in the middle of it. How long does World War III last? I mean, is it a full 8 minutes?
Be a war like nobody's seen before because of the weaponry. The weaponry is a whole lot different than two army tanks going up against each other. This is...
So not like the Ukraine war right now.
It's a whole different world, and we don't have somebody that can properly represent us. There's no question about that.
In a nuclear war, we don't have somebody. Sorry, you do realize, like, our second strike is automated even. So nobody even has to call for it. That's part of the mutual assured destruction thing. So you can't just, like, assassinate the president and then strike with nukes because there's no one to technically give the go-ahead. You don't think they thought that through during the Cold War on both sides of the ocean?
What do you make of all the talk that if Biden steps aside or is pushed out, that it would be Vice President Harris? Do you expect that much would change?
Well, I think that it will be her. I think they are very concerned about the vote if it's not her. They are very, very, they're gun shy. They don't want to do it any other way. I've actually come to believe that's what they're going to do. I think she's...
All right, again, gibberish.
An ineffective person. She was in charge of the border. She's never been there. She didn't do a good job, and she hasn't done a job on a lot of things. So... But it would seem to me that from a political standpoint, that's who they're going with. They're not even talking about alternatives. And it seems that if he gets out for whatever reason, and I don't think he wants to...
For whatever reason.
Get out. But if he gets out, it will be her. Interestingly, he's got a lot of power because he's got the delegates. You know, when you have the delegates, unless he says, I'm getting out, they can't do anything to get him out, other than the 25th Amendment. If they want to do it in a different route, it would be the 25th Amendment. But
yeah, that wouldn't change the delegate part in the election, though, because he would still be a candidate. It's a private party. Never mind. I don't even know why I'm bothering to argue these points.
with not very much time left. There's not much time left, and then we can straighten out our country. We'll make America great again, right? But there's not a lot of time.
Right. My little catchphrase, right?
Time left. But I think unless they use the 25th Amendment, which they'd use in a different sense, he has all the power. He has the delegates. He doesn't have to get out. There's nothing they can do to get him out. So he'll get the nomination. He got the nomination, and then they'll have their meeting in Chicago, which, by the way, last week, 100.
And by the way, thank you, Tobias, for the super chat, by the way. And thank you, Michael, as well. Hal, check out the Trump rally on RSBN. It's a hot mess, but worth a view. Okay, I will.
17 people.
Right when this is done.
Were shot, and 17 people were killed. That was last weekend in Chicago.
So what? Their aim is improving? Is that your point?
It's like that's like a war zone. But they have their convention in Chicago, and they're obviously very proud of Chicago. And I love Chicago. I have invested.
We could tell.
In Chicago, but when you look at the crime in Chicago, when you look at what's gone wrong with Chicago, it's not a very good thing to be displaying right now.
It's not a very good thing to be displaying. Yeah.
I know words. I have the best words.
It's the order of them that's weird. Yeah.
I still think every election is about the future. It's about peace and prosperity. In this case, it would be about the border. It will be about the economy, law and order, the green agenda, America's role in the world.
So you've got talking points you're trying to feed him so that he sticks to the message you need him to give. Sean, is that what's going on? Okay.
One issue that pops almost at the top of every poll in the minds of Americans. Well, really two. The border and the economy. Let's start with the border. We have nearly 11 million unvetted Joe Biden illegal immigrants in this country.
Also, same number I've always heard. How many people, chat room real quick, how many people that have, if you're a Gen Xer especially, remembers that the number of undocumented people in the country, the number is and has always been 11 million, right? It never changes. Isn't that odd? Now, Trump has made the case that there's like 20, whatever. Yeah? I've heard 11 my whole fucking life. It's been a constant 11. He makes up, Trump sells this 20 million number, whatever. But anybody who's kind of having a sort of standard talking point about it, it's always 11 million, right? And that's because, in theory, some of them die, some of them leave, some of them go back to their home countries, or some of them are victims of other stuff. Some of them were never actually here. 11 million is the kind of rotating number of how many undocumented people there are in the country at any given time. It's kind of the general number. But to them, they've doubled that number. Now, if they had, we genuinely would not have 1 million unfilled jobs. Those jobs would be being worked by folks under the table.
From nearly 180 countries, but many from countries that have terror ties, countries like Iran and Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan.
Yeah, places where Christians flee from, where people who don't want to die from terrorism and war run from. The people that would want to get out of those countries because of those very factors would want to come here. Right.
Venezuela, Kazakhstan.
Oh, Venezuela. Why does that stick out? Hold on. Chat room, there was something. Let me see. Yeah, I knew there was a reason why I couldn't, I remember that. Yeah. Sean, why's Venezuela, it just pops right into my mind when you mentioned it. Something about, I don't know, undocumented people or them being able to stay or, I don't know, it just, I don't know why, it just kind of, lives rent-free in my brain. Trump grants Venezuelans temporary legal status on his way out. The U.S. will defer for 18 months the removal of certain Venezuelan nationals. President Donald Trump on Tuesday announced he will offer Venezuelan exiles protection from deportation, a move he has considered for years but refused to do until his last full day in office. There you go. On his way out the door, he just decided, I'll use the Deferred Enforcement Departure Program, the DED, to offer temporary legal status to Venezuelans fleeing Nicolas Maduro's regime. It's very similar to temporary protected status, TPS, protects recipients from deportation, allows them to get work permits. However, it's granted directly by the president instead of the Department of Homeland Security. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, let's, shall we go, let's see. Somebody's saying Google Honduras and Trump. All right. We'll give it a shot at that. Former Honduran president sentenced to 45 years in U.S. prison. That part? Or for trafficking? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The guy who was like the president of Honduras who loved Trump. This dude loves Trump, man. He loves him. He's a huge Trump fan. This guy. Ex-Honduran president praised by Trump sentenced for running narco state. You mean that guy? Former Honduras President Juan Orlando Hernandez was sentenced in New York on Wednesday to 45 years in prison for enabling drug traffickers to use his military and national police force to smuggle tons of cocaine into the United States. Hernandez, 55, is the first former head of state to be found guilty of drug trafficking in the U.S. since Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega was convicted in '92. Wearing a green prison uniform, Hernandez stood in court with his lawyers, flanked by two U.S. Marshals. Judge P. Kevin Castell, who presided over the trial in Manhattan federal court, called him a two-faced politician hungry for power who protected a selected group of traffickers. Man, now I understand why he liked Trump so much. As part of his sentence, he was also ordered to pay an $8 million fine. The Department of Justice said the former president ran Honduras as a narco state, working with drug dealers as far back as 2004, taking millions of dollars in bribes as he rose from a local congressman to president of the National Congress and then to the country's highest office. Of course, he was probably sentenced under Trump, right? He was probably, June 26, 2024. I know all the best people, says Trump. What more could you ask for? It's just gets better all the time. Okay, here we go.
Nearly 60,000 from China in just the last 18 months. Tens of thousands.
Sorry. China allegedly has 1.2 billion people. Never mind the at least 50 million that have died because of COVID and ancillary secondary effects of COVID. 1.5 billion people, and you're telling me 60,000 of them have found their way to the United States to try and escape. What do you think the chances are of 60,000 Chinese people escaping to Canada, much less the United States, because they want to live in a democracy or they want to be free of the CCP? What do you just as a percentage of 1.2 billion people? That 60,000 of them would try to get out and get to Canada, much less try to get to the United States.
Thousands from Russia. And
again, most of them, and by the way, sorry.
Just the last 18 months, tens of thousands from Russia.
Tens of thousands from Russia. You mean the ones trying to flee the country that Trump says is awesome? And that don't want to go fight in Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine?
And I worry that this is now a clear and present danger for the country.
Really? Because 60,000 people trying to seek freedom managed to get in the United States from China, or tens of thousands from Russia who fled since Russia invaded Ukraine because they don't want to be a part of that shit? What are you upset about? The fact that that there aren't more of like Wagner Group and CCP loyalists coming to the country anymore?
And that the likelihood...
And investing in Fox News and whatever business interest you have?
The terror cells are probably already here is very high. I don't think I'm wrong. I pray to God that I'm wrong. I don't believe I am. And the media, Democrats...
You think you might overlook the fact that some of them got here while Trump was here? If something does happen, God forbid? Or that the plan was put in place while Trump was president and he allowed the beginning of the plan to start? Well, that didn't bother you at all?
Have ignored the issue and they've allowed it to happen. And Biden and Kamala Harris and Mayorkas have all
and everybody who wouldn't vote for the border bill
said the border's closed and the border's secure, but they brag about ending the policies that you had in place when they got
the bigoted stuff
into power. I think a preventable problem. I'm worried about our national security like never before.
Well, then, like never before. Like never, you're worried. Sean Hannity is worried about our national security like never before, ladies and gentlemen. Like never before. And that's why he's fine with Republicans not passing any new border security measures, because it's just that dangerous. It's so dangerous that he's in what, fuck it mode?
Well, the one thing you haven't said tonight that you always say is that it's 100% certain that we're going to have a terror attack, and I agree
Sorry, did you guys coordinate that before? Like whose line that was going to be?
with you on that. It's 100% certain. I mean, we're letting terrorists into our...
I pray I'm wrong. I pray
We're letting
to God I'm
terrorists
wrong.
into our country at a level that we've never seen before.
Well, if they're getting in, then you're not seeing them. Also, you're saying Nazi a lot. I'm just saying. That might be a tick.
Terrorists are coming in, and they're coming in.
Well, if we know, then how are they going to carry out terrorist attacks? If we're catching them, if you're talking about the ones you know, I guess the idea is that you're assuming that there's a bunch of terrorists in the gotaways, which, again, wouldn't they just come in on real visas, circa 9/11?
Sean, from mental institutions and insane.
Yeah, that's the worst kind of terrorists are the crazy ones, the people who've been in mental institutions, because nothing, you haven't lived until you've seen a bomb created by someone who has no sense of reality and hears voices.
Asylums. They're coming in from prisons and jails from all over the world, not just South America. They're coming in from the Congo and Africa. They're coming in from...
Sorry, these countries are jailing their terrorists? And then releasing them into other countries so they can come here?
Part of the world, and some of these parts are rough parts of the world, and they're pouring into our country as prisoners, as mental patients.
They're dressed this way? Were they just being rolled up on a gurney with a Hannibal Lecter mask on, or are they wearing like old-fashioned striped or orange prison outfits?
Coming into our country, and they're coming in also as terrorists. And this is...
Are they really? How do they tell? Is it because they're wearing a suicide vest when they walk up to the wall? They're just sneaking across?
Poisoning our country, and nobody should have been subjected to this. They should never have been allowed to do this. There's nothing good that can...
Well, if they're sneaking in, they're not being allowed. They're sneaking in. And if they're from Venezuela and they got to avoid deportation, for example, because of the order, then you allowed them in.
Come of it, and we're going to have to get these criminals, and a lot of them are criminals, and very high-level, very bad criminals.
Yeah, not just petty little crimes. The kind of crimes like Jeffrey Epstein crimes. Oh, wait.
We're going to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation in our history, larger than the Eisenhower deportation. And we have no choice. I don't want to do that. But this man has destroyed our country. And I say in rallies, I'm doing a big one tomorrow at Doral in Miami.
Yeah, by the way, you're doing one at Doral where you have a club? Why? What are you trying to win Florida? Why is it a rally? Let me just say abundantly clear. There is no such thing as a rally in a state you're already going to win in theory. Right? If you do a get-together in a red state and you're not actually affecting the vote at all, especially considering most of his fucking quote-unquote rallies are full of people that are from all over the place that just drive in for it.
I say at rallies that you could take the 10 worst presidents...
Yeah, we've heard you say this is boring.
...in the history of our country and put them together.
and they wouldn't look as ridiculous as you. I'm sorry. Also, they're changing these pictures, and I feel bad. Anybody who's just joining us, I apologize. There is some heavy nunting going on in some of these photos, so just, I don't know, if you maybe wear a hat and pull the bill down over your eyes at certain times.
Will not have done the destruction and damage as this man has done. He's been.
You mean the infrastructure bill? Oh, sorry, the act that actually got signed into law, the infrastructure law, or the rescue package, or getting the lead pipes out of the country, or rural broadband, that kind of damage.
A horrible president, the worst president, frankly, the worst president in history by far. And by the way, Jimmy Carter's the happiest guy around, because Jimmy Carter now is saying, he was like a genius compared to what Biden is. His administration was brilliant compared to the Biden administration.
Again, OPEC Plus had a huge impact on Jimmy Carter's presidency, and it was undermined by the Republicans and Ronald Reagan's, interaction with the Iranians, right? He struck a deal with them, don't give up these hostages until I get into office. Don't cut a deal with this guy, and then I'll do a favor for you. And then he did. Everything that Trump does, Reagan was the test case on it, except for the stuff that I guess he got from Nixon.
So it's a very, very sad. It's a very sad time in our country.
Yeah, it really kind of isn't.
Let me ask about the economy. I know that they said from the beginning that Biden's inflation, which they inherited 1.4%, it's up over 20%.
No, it isn't.
25% of Americans say that they've had to forego meals. 60+% of Americans said that they're gulping water because of Joe Biden's economic policies and Biden.
What? How many what? Wait. What the what? Who is gulping water?
Percent of Americans say that they've had it's up over 20%. 25% of Americans say that they've had to forego meals. 60+% of Americans said that they're gulping water because of Joe Biden's economic policies.
What the hell? Okay, first of all, I'm stunned. I'm shocked. Sean Hannity, congratulations. I didn't think you could do it, but you managed to say something that was more ridiculous, absurd, and full of shit than even Trump said. And that's saying a lot. So run that by me again.
Of Americans said that they're gulping water to forego meals. 60+% of Americans said that they're gulping water because of Joe Biden's economic policies and Biden inflation.
All right. What is that? What in the what? I can't even wrap my head around that. That is so bizarre. 60+% of Americans are saying that they are gulping water. Jesus Christ. All right. Sean Hannity, you cut off. You can't make fun of Biden for anything he said ever again. I don't know what the shit that is. What?
Say that they've had to forego meals. 60+% of Americans said that they're gulping water because of Joe Biden's economic policies and Biden inflation.
What is that? I don't know. Chat room, work with me on this. What? That's amazing. I'm trying to figure out borderline, like, what is he? I don't know where, even the generalized area where that comes from. Gulping water. 60+% of Americans are gulping water because of Bidenomics. I don't know. I'm stunned. I don't know. Does he mean underwater? Maybe, but he used being underwater is passive. Gulping water is active. That's really weird. Yeah, it's the great parching of America. All right. Maybe. Hey, you know what? Thank you for the super chat. Maybe Trump knows what the fuck he's talking about. Let's see. Maybe Trump. Yeah, I read that too.
How do you fix that? And how?
Yeah, how do you fix the gulping? Hey man, look. You want to? I always use a straw, and largely because me drinking water out of a cup, because of the generalized dental situation I find myself in, it makes a lot of weird noises. It sounds not unlike a horse trying to get an apple out of a rain bucket. I'm just saying. So I have found myself often using a siphon, which does, because I like also when I drink water for it to have a hint of gas. Not this kind, but gasoline. Just saying. I still got that pipe back from the 70s.
Quickly do you think you can fix that?
Yeah, how quickly can you stop Americans gulping their water and teach them to sip like civilized people?
We have to fix it fast. And what?
Yeah, well, absolutely, or all the water will be gone.
They're doing is the illegal migrants that
Gulp Fiction. I think nicely done. I think that's the title of this clip if we make one.
are pouring into our countries. Many of them are staying in luxury hotels all over our country.
Which explains and they can't gulp water. That shit's $8 a bottle. That's Fiji water.
They're being shipped up, as we say now, every state is a border state. Whether it's Idaho or Iowa or Ohio, it doesn't make any difference. They're all border because they're pouring through our country.
Also, if I may, real quick. There you go. There we go. Just for the record, show this right here. This is hold on. This is Idaho right here. That's the Canadian border. Idaho is a border state. Just the northern border. Just in case anybody's paying attention, in case it matters to anyone but me. All right, wait. No.
One of the stats that was incredible, I actually saw it on you first, was when it came out that we're actually flying them in. So it's not just a question of these people coming through totally unchecked and unvetted. They're flying tens of thousands of people into our country, migrants. And many of these people were not people that were welcome to stay in their countries. They're coming up here.
Yeah, most freedom, loving people are kicked out of the worst kind of countries. Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't know if you know this, but the people in the Mayflower weren't particularly welcome. Just,
And when I originally I said they are not sending their finest. These are people that are coming from other countries, Sean, where the president, whoever is running the country, including the dictators, they're sending them into our country. And if you look at Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. Their crime.
You mean their crime is down 72% since Venezuela's crime is down 72% in the last couple of years? I mean, it isn't, but...
Think of it, down 72, and ours is up. And we're going to have a new form of crime because these people are just getting comfortable. They're just getting settled in.
Yeah, obviously. You don't just come right in and start criming. you settle in. You get a decent job, maybe a relationship, have a couple of kids, and then you really get your criming on.
We're going to have a new form of crime, and it's called Biden migrant crime. And it's a new category.
We don't right now. Okay.
Category. And it's a very serious category, and it might blow all of our crime out the window because, frankly...
It might, if it ever actually happens. But you let us know when it's actually happening, because, again, a lot of these people that we're talking about that have been killed were either let in while you were president or because of your policies in the case of the Venezuelan guys.
You could probably double. When I told you those numbers in Chicago with 17 people dying this weekend, think of it, over...
Americans killed by other Americans, guns from other states that have looser regulations than Chicago does, for example.
Over a weekend, over 3 days.
Yeah, by felons who can get access to guns. Yeah.
4-day period. You had over 100 people shot and 17 people dead. And that probably doesn't include the migrants, although I guarantee you there was some of that in there, too.
How do you guarantee it, and why wouldn't they?
We have a new form. It's this new category, and it's going to be very, very serious for...
It is. It's going to be. It's not, but it will be. It has to be, a
long time to come. And we have to get them out of our country. We don't want them out. They drop them out of their jails and prisons. We don't want them in our country. It's not sustainable by any country.
It's amazing when you came to...
By the way, can I just tell you that when he gets on that rant about it's not sustainable by any country and we got to get him out and all this stuff and it's going to be terrible and blah, blah, blah. He sounds like an old lady in New York at in a diner, like talking loudly. These people, they come from the worst places in the world and they're just awful, right? He sounds like an old lady in New York, like just an old bigoted lady. Am I the only person who hears that?
On that escalator in 2015, and you said some are very good people, they want a better life, and then there are going to be bad people, and there'll be...
Yeah, he didn't say that want a better life. You didn't say that. He did not say that. You said that just now to try and to change history.
Murder and rape, it's unfolding. Look at Lake and Riley on down, and young...
Yeah, on down. That's right. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for bringing up Lake and Riley. Because the fact that you can memorize any of these names tells me that the number is not extraordinary. Because again, you wouldn't know any of their fucking names if there was as much crime as he said. If there were 17 people killed by migrants, American citizens murdered by migrants in Chicago last weekend, you wouldn't know a single one of them. You just go, the Chicago 17. But the fact that you actually have specifics shows you that the number, even though supposedly the number of migrants in the country has gone up, the number of actual crimes by those migrants has actually gone down. Because the crimes from migrant crime, as you're calling it, is static. From Trump to Biden. It's almost the same fucking number. And so if Biden is letting in a shit ton more people, then he must be letting in a lot more good people, or the number would naturally go up. All right.
Young girls being raped in broad daylight. This young girl in Texas that was killed, a mother of 5. Let me ask you one last question, if I may.
If I may, do you remember any of the names of people that were killed by undocumented migrants during your time in office? Do any of those matter enough to you to pass a border bill, even if it's not perfect, that will guarantee that we have better scrutiny of people coming across the border that might save lives like that? Or do we just want to use the murders to get elected? You're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Share it out if you would. I appreciate it.
Hey, and I know this was last minute. Thanks for calling in tonight. And I want to ask you about your VP choice.
It wasn't last minute. They coordinated it for at least 3 days.
How soon do you think you'll be making that choice, number one?
I heard today, and you don't know whether it's true or not, but that he's down to two people. It's either Burgum or Vance, and that Rubio's out, which he was never going to do. Like, the fuck, can you imagine the QAnon types thinking that he's been captured by the fucking establishment if Marco Rubio's the dude? And then, of course, if it's Vance, shit, all we got to do is play the video of him saying this, Trump could be America's Hitler over and over again. There's plenty of footage. So the only safe choice is either Burgum or he picks somebody that's not, they haven't even known they were on the list.
Number two, we keep reading that there is a short list, and on the short list, we hear names like Senator Rubio, Senator Tim,
who you have called short, by the way,
Scott, Senator J.D. Vance, Governor Burgum. Are those reports accurate? Are there other people maybe people aren't paying attention to? And when do you think you'll announce that?
Well, we started off with a lot of people. We have a lot of good people, as they call it. We have a great bench in the Republican Party. The names that you mentioned, absolutely, they're under consideration. And I haven't made final decision, but I have some ideas as to...
Whoa! Before the debate, he was telling people that he had already made up his mind. Wait a second. Wait a fucking second. Hold on. Where is it? Trump has already decided VP. Something like that. Trump says it hasn't. Where's the other one? Here it comes down to final days. Here's Trump says he's... Yeah, here you go. This is... June 23rd. Here you go. Trump says he's picked his vice president, but he has one key move left to make. Former president and current Republican nominee Donald Trump has stated that he has already decided upon his pick for vice president in the 2024 election, but there's still one more thing that he needs to do. Tell them. During Trump's stop in Philadelphia, he said if he had decided, he was... NBC News asked if he decided on it. He responded, "In my mind, yeah," and added that nobody knows who his choice is. Per Trump, whoever it is will most likely be at Thursday's CNN presidential debate. They'll be there. I think we have a lot of people coming. In an interview, April cover story, everybody wants to work for me, and a lot of people say, who would he work for me? Oh, would he be a vice president? Would he accept vice president? I've got everybody in the nation calling me, begging me to be vice president. Narrowing down the options, though, potential vice presidents is these people: Ben Carson, Rubio, Tim Scott, J.D. Vance, Burgum, Byron Donalds, and Elise Stefanik, blah, blah, blah. This was back in June, right? In 2016, he chose Mike Pence late in the thing. Here it is.
Republicans in Congress are now calling for a nationwide abortion ban.
Let me just ask you a follow-up on that about who would be in your cabinet, in your administration. Mm-hmm. If you are the nominee, which I know you expect to be, who would be in the running for vice president?
Well, I can't tell you that, really. I mean, I know who it's going to be.
Give us a hint.
We'll do another show sometime.
Well, what about any of the people who...
I know who it's going to be. He's already said he knows. And it's fucking July.
You've run against? Would you be open to mending fences with any of them?
I will. I've already started to like Christie better.
Christie for vice president?
I don't see it. That would be an upset. Christie for vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
That's it. And I think he means Chris Christie in that moment. Yes. So.
Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News.
Shut the fuck up. Hold on.
Where we're going, and a little bit, we wanted to see what they're doing, to be honest, because, it might make a difference. I don't know. I'm not sure that it would, but there are those that say Trump's waiting until he finds out what's going to happen with crooked Joe Biden, and we'll see what happens with Biden. But, I think probably within the next week and a half, probably sometime. I'd love to do it during the convention. My people say that's a little complicated. In the old days, they would announce the vice president during the convention. Today, with modern-day technology, you can't do...
Yeah, now since the telegram...
things that you could have done 50 years ago very easily. But probably a little before the convention, but not much. It could even be during the convention that we're.
He doesn't know. He fucking has no idea. He has no idea. Yeah, I think you're right. Kristi Noem is who he was saying. But
I'd love to do it during the convention. I think it would be a very interesting build-up.
He just thinks it's a fucking reality show.
And important for the convention. It would make it even more exciting. It's going to be amazing in Milwaukee.
If you announced it right now on this show, I think it would make a lot of news. I'm just saying.
Well, if I did it, I'd love to do it with you. But we'll be announcing soon, and I think everybody's going to be very, very happy. The choice will be very, very good. It's going to be a great vice president, meaning a person that can do a fantastic job as president, because you always have to think of that first, and then second, somebody that helps you get elected, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mr. President, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's super great. It clarified a lot of things, and especially America. I think the important thing we all learned is stop gulping water. You're going to drown yourself. Please use a straw. That said, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Hold on, someone's at my door now because I sneezed. Yes? Somebody knock on my door? I'm doing my show. Did you not? You need anything? Sure? Can I have a hug real quick? Go back and do my show.
Just letting you know also that it's fine.
I'm almost done.
I'm just letting you know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My son was letting me know it's 5. And yes, it is. And our timing is kind of perfect. Now, I don't know if, let's see. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to be able, because it's 5 already. But and by the way, tomorrow morning show, Hal Sparks Mornings Megaworldwide. Our guest in the first hour will be Christopher Titus. He's going to join us first up, and then after that, our dear friend Philip Ittner will be joining us from Ukraine. And oh my God, thank you, Stephanie. Thanks, Hal, with love and 60% gulps. Thank you for that. That's amazing. And Ophelia, thank you as well. And Judy and Dr. 13, thanks for the super chat. And Jerry, iced tea for you, Hal. Thank you. Yes, I need one. I really do. My voice needs to relax a little bit over the next couple of days. So I'm going to be pretty silent in between shows, except to talk to my kid and my loved ones. And that's a lot, but whatever. Anyways, yes, Titus and Philip are good for tomorrow. Thank you, Andrea, for helping us set that up. And I'm looking forward to it. I love Chris. He's a good dude. And we both are, I'm going to wear my Prince shirt tomorrow because we're both, the thing he and I bond on the most, and how I knew Chris Titus is a good dude, is we are both enormous Prince fans. He and I could probably do a podcast about Prince songs where we do one song an episode, and it would be fascinating to the both of us and any other Prince fans. I have no doubt it would be hilarious. We'd go through the whole, one song each. We could do deep cuts, deep cuts, and it'd still be great. P Control, absolutely. There's a story about P Control. Maybe I'll bring it up tomorrow. But it involves me singing it on the freeway and a guy thinking I was cussing him out because he saw my mouth moving. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so tomorrow for the morning show, Christopher Titus will be joining us and Philip Ittner. And there's obviously been a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine. The Russians have been bombing Kiev and hit a cancer hospital, a children's hospital. They have stepped up their attacks on civilian infrastructure specifically, and it's infuriating. But in the meantime, you know, I have a pet peeve. Ladies and gentlemen, folks, hit that like, share the show, please. Because I have a pet peeve about people who halfway, read a book halfway through and think they know it, or use cultural references they don't have the capacity to understand. And one of those is, there's many. But one of them is that it has been hammered to death. Culturally, there is no more hammered shit topic than 1984. And I don't mean the amazing Van Halen album, which I will be singing songs from as part of our set this weekend in Tahoe, if you're in the generalized area, on Friday. Not just that. We will be doing songs from 1984 with Nerd Halen on Tahoe. In Tahoe is the book. And of course, no one understands it less than someone with the shit reading comprehension and odd forehead slice scars. I don't know what that is. It grosses me out. They're relatively new. I don't understand them, but okay. I thought initially it was where he set his glasses, but it looks like some sort of forehead stigmata. I don't understand. Anyways, 1984 is now, which obviously, if you've read 1984, you would look at an image like this and go, obviously it isn't. This looks like propaganda. But here we go. These 15 lines from 1984 are no longer fiction. Here we go.
Let's say hello and welcome back to Stu Bergier. Hello, Stu.
Hey, Glenn. How are you?
Bergier.
Good.
Hey, Stu. Thanks for boring everybody shitless the other day with your weird Biden get out stuff. It really was a total waste of time and dull.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you here. Let's go into a couple of things here. I was reading a story today about Donald Trump getting ready to go to the debate next week, and he's preparing, and people are speculating. Why would he ever accept? Why would he ever? So you think Donald Trump is not going to accept all of the baby conditions that Joe Biden has set for the...
Wait, this video was posted 7 hours ago.
For the debate? Of course he will. He's not going to be said. They're not going to say to him, "Oh, well, we wanted to debate, but he wouldn't." He'll do it, and he'll still probably do pretty well. But Joe Biden is going to do better than he probably would in any other format. And Donald Trump said they'll probably pump him up. Now, I don't know if that is true, but it
also none of this turned out to be the case. But
sure explains the performance of, let's say, the State of the Union address, where he was vigorous. He was like, "Wow, who is this guy?"
Okay, so this is the point. Get to the 1984 shit.
FDR, the war was going well. We're starting to turn the tides on Germany, but we hadn't gone into D-Day yet.
Wait, really? We weren't at D-Day yet?
I'm sorry. FDR comes back from the meeting with Stalin and Churchill in Tehran, and as he comes back, he's got a really bad, violent cough. He starts to lose weight. He's constantly fatigued. His daughter Anna was so freaked out by all of it that she pressed the doctors, "Please, could you please have him see a cardiologist at Bethesda?" So he went into Bethesda Hospital for an examination, and when he came out, everything was great. No, the president's in perfect health. However, according to the medical notes that were published 6 decades later, that doctor diagnosed him with reduced lung capacity, hypertension or high blood pressure, which we didn't have a way to treat back then, acute bronchitis, and most seriously, acute congestive heart failure. So now they're not treating him because we didn't have the medication. The only treatment was regulating a patient's lifestyle and, herbal drugs, and then telling him.
Yeah, that's all we had back then. If you had acute congestive heart failure, they just rubbed a potato on your chest and buried it in the backyard on a full moon. What the fuck are you talking about?
Don't drink alcohol, tobacco, don't do any of that. So that means in May of 1944, a month before D-Day, the daily schedule of the U.S. president, unbeknownst to the American people, was only 4 hours a day.
And he was incredibly successful. We won the war.
He could only work and be involved 4 hours a day.
I think you can probably get all your major decisions taken care of during that window, sure.
Now.
Yeah, I know that's words. I'm just fucking around.
He did that for a while, and he started to improve a little bit. But in July of 1944, he had another doctor examine him, and he said he's not going to survive the term. And he's got another full term coming up, and there's an election, and I don't think he's going to make it for the entire full term in office. Panel of experts were called in. They all examined, and they all agreed he's not going to make it. Okay? Did the American people know that? No, they didn't. It was too important to the country to make sure that he looked strong and vigorous. Well, what do you think is happening with Joe Biden?
By the way, you do realize that worked out well.
Do you honestly think that things that have been done before are not being done right now?
Yes.
And what's disturbing?
Yeah, Roosevelt was not giving speeches at a NATO conference, for example, or campaign stops. He was in a wheelchair.
About it is these people work for us. Now, I understand maybe, perhaps, in war, although no, I don't. No, I don't. I need a president that is vigorous. And if a president is not vigorous, especially at a time of war, I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on in the world, but we are growing ever so close to nuclear war.
Okay, no, we're not. Also, let me tell you something about people I like in my commentators. I like it when they don't have weird rosacea skin issues and have to be kept in a separate room in the same building from the rest of the crew and their fellow co-hosts, and that they don't have some sort of purple necrosis going on in the tip of their nose. Yeah? Let's see if you can spot what I'm talking about.
What was it?
Also memory issues, I guess.
Oh, it was one of the former Soviets.
You guys notice this? You guys notice? Glenn is not well. This is bad.
Satellite states. And the president came out and he's like, look, you can think whatever you want about the United States or whatever you want about Russia, but we're out of this because it seems as though NATO and Russia both cannot back away from this, and I think we are months away from a nuclear war. And somebody has got to stand up and say, get to the peace table. And it's very compelling to listen to him. So, should we know about the president's health? Of course we should, but we won't. Because
sorry, you actually believe Donald Trump's doctor while he was in office? You actually think that when he walked up those steps after he came back from Walter Reed, he wasn't bedridden for 2 days afterwards and huffing and puffing? Did you see the way he was breathing when he took his fucking mask off? You don't think that motherfucker has long COVID?
Because we are living in the days of 1984.
No, we are not.
Listen to these 15 things that Monroe Harless pointed out in the Federalist. 15 ways that 1984 is 2024.
Fuck you.
Quote from the book, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command.
Oh, you mean the part where, like, Donald Trump is a great businessman, he's a loving husband, he was sent by God to stop child sex trafficking? That storyline, that he's there to make America great again by turning women's rights back to before suffrage? That we should ignore our own eyes and ears that are showing us that he's decaying right before us, that he's full of shit and gibberish, that he's a notorious philanderer. He bragged about barging in on teenage girls while they were changing in his, look of the year competition. You mean the guy that bankrupted a casino and his airline was repossessed by the banks, but he's a master businessman? The party wants you to believe, the grand old party wants you to believe that he's actually a great businessman and he does great deals, like the Chinese trade deal, phase 1.
Have you seen this? Have you seen the party demanding you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears?
No, they did not. They said he's had a bad night and that he went through that. They're not telling you he didn't have a bad night. That would be them telling you to reject. That would be them telling you, watch the debate. He was flawless and fantastic, and anybody who says different belongs in a gulag. Everybody cops to the fact it was a bad night. And since then, people have been watching him give speeches and talk and that kind of stuff, and he's doing just fine. What the Republican Party wants you to do is deny what your eyes are showing you, which is that he's doing just fine and that he had a bad night, and extrapolate it to every single decision.
Every moment. Time. We're seeing it all the time.
No, we aren't. That is an example of, and by the way, there's enough Democrats that have turned on Biden that prove that isn't the case. There are media figures across the board, even that have been on MSNBC and on fucking Comedy Central, which you allege is totally in the can for Democrats, that have shit all over Biden. Have done the exact opposite thing. By the way, while giving Trump a pass. So if there's a 1984 protection racket going on, it's about Donald Trump. It's the grand old party protecting him.
2, endless wars. Quote, they add nothing to the wealth of the world, since whatever they produce is used for purposes of war, and the object of waging a war is always to be in a better position in which to wage another war. And
yeah, we didn't start these. If you're in the war making business, you would instigate it directly, or you would provoke it specifically, and not just by looking good in a short skirt. That doesn't qualify, no matter how much Glenn thinks that Ukraine had it coming. We would start it. We would instruct Russia to attack and then create this false equivalency, and then use it as a balancing act, or quite frankly, pay Russia to attack, which is what in 1984 is the argument, that they're on both sides of the war, that it's a war machine, that they're invested in both, which is, by the way, an anti-Jewish blood libel that has been around since the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, the Turner Diaries, and other things that basically make the idea that Jews were on both sides of World War II and made money off of it, and they were the ones who started it, and the Nazis weren't so bad. That's what Glenn would argue for.
Quote. Have you seen the video of Joe Biden talking about American weapons being used for direct strikes inside of Russia? And why do some people speculate that the real purpose of this is to get rid of all of our own old weapons so we can make new weapons which will be better in the next war?
What the fuck? First of all, these are the assholes who are saying that we are constantly at war anyways. This asshole supported the war on terror concept. This asshole believes that China's going to attack us by sending young military-age men into the country, that we're going to have to fight directly on the streets of America, much less if they attack Taiwan or they shut down the fucking South China Seas or attack Japan or any of our other allies. So the idea that somehow we're the side that's manufacturing this idea that there might be a future war because we're not being nice to the assholes on the earth is absurd.
Doesn't this sound like exactly?
No, it doesn't. It sounds like Donald Trump was friends with Kim Jong-un, who is supporting Russia and who's continued to grow his nukes to scare America so that Donald Trump could pay for a dome over the entire country.
1984?
No, it doesn't. It does not.
Number 3, separating babies from mothers at birth. Quote from the book, already we're breaking down the habits of thought which have survived from before the revolution. Children will be taken from their mothers at birth, as one takes eggs from a hen. What exactly is the issue here? Well, the issue is the well-being of a child, a living, breathing human who is created for the sole purpose of being sold or ripped away from her mom.
Her mom?
This is...
This is not happening at all. Not at all. I don't even know why you would. If this is your third quote, this should be one of the anchors. This is just gibberish.
This is something that is happening through surrogacy.
What? Blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Surrogacy is now the problem. So there's a great worldwide pentaveret running a surrogacy scheme. By the way, the surrogates aren't the mother of the child. They often carry a fertilized egg from someone else. The egg comes from another woman.
And honestly, later in life, it is happening because of political correctness.
No, it isn't. I mean, that's like saying if you take a young man and send him off into the military, they're going to train him to be a killing machine, and therefore he's no longer the child of his parents. You don't have a problem with that.
4, hatred of purity and goodness.
Yeah, ugh.
I hate purity. I hate goodness.
We know.
I don't want virtue to exist anywhere. I want everyone to be corrupt to the bones, end quote.
Right, which is why you would support someone like Donald Trump, for example.
Well, did anybody see what happened to Butker for being a Christian?
Who?
They tore him apart, condemned him. Ray Rice? Nothing compared.
What? Biden goes to church all the time. He visits the graves of his family when he regularly goes to mass. And you support a guy who was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman, who thinks it's 2 Corinthians. What? He held a Bible upside down outside of a burnt church he would never set foot in.
5, the news lies. One knows the news is all lies anyway, from 1984. Yeah, well, what do you think? Do we all know that the news is nothing but a lie? And
so everybody who's been shitting on Biden for the last couple of weeks is lying to you then? They actually like him? This is an attempt to help him?
And now the news...
Sorry, somebody said Butker is what? Butker is the kicker for the Chiefs that feels women should be in the kitchen. Oh, right, that fucker, right. He wasn't attacked for being a Christian. He was attacked for being a misogynist.
Is saying that they are fighting disinformation. 6, the destruction of the family. The sex impulse was dangerous to the party, and the party had to turn it to account. They had played a similar trick with the instinct of parenthood. The children, on the other hand, were systematically turned against their parents and taught to spy on them and report their deviations. The family had become, in fact, an extension of the thought police.
Yeah, sounds like maggots.
Need to give you an example? 7.
Yeah, yes, you do. Give me an example. Especially about family where everybody wears a MAGA hat except one of the kids.
Political correctness. Don't you see the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end, we shall make thought.
Yeah, and it certainly has, hasn't it? There's not a variety of thought out there. We've killed flat earthers. There's no more anti-vaxxers. We've totally shut down most conspiracy theories. There's no market for them. It's not like you could make a living selling prepper shit. You couldn't even have a magazine called Prepper. Oh, wait, there is one. I saw it in the airport in fucking Denver.
Thought crime literally impossible because there are no words in which to express it. Egg producers, birthing people, chest feeding. 8, persecution.
Yeah, again, the suggestions by people about these things are not orders, and they never played out. We're allowing for those words to be used if they're necessary to the person, but they're not replacing the fucking vernacular in the country.
Opponents. Power is a means. It is an end. The object of persecution is persecution.
I guess because it's persecution. No, even in the case of its use, the object of persecution is both to shut down the person who is doing something that's outside the bounds of that particular society. Look at Jonestown. Look at any cult, right? How Scientology allegedly attacks people and all that kind of stuff. And that's the purpose of persecution, is not just to shut down that person and make them stop doing whatever they're doing that you're persecuting them for, but also to scare other people away. It's not, you don't just get off on it. It's not torture for torture's sake. You're trying to scare everybody into falling in line.
Reporter, President Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response, sir? He just smiles. 9, the innocent are suffering. How does one man assert it?
Yeah, because it's funny. He smiles because it's ridiculous. It's an example of, turning words upside down. He's a political prisoner. He's been going from golf course to golf course. He's out on bail and he still has his passport. He had classified documents.
His power over another wins
that he did not have the right to have.
By making him suffer. Exactly. By making him suffer. Obedience is not enough unless he is suffering. How can you be sure he's obeying your will and not his own? How about the 75-year-old Paulette Harlow, who's in poor health? She also was somebody who, I believe, survived a communist concentration camp. She's in prison for 2 years for praying outside of an abortion clinic.
Oh, no, she is not. No. Anybody who isn't praying inside an abortion clinic is technically praying outside an abortion clinic. Miles away, sometimes thousands of miles away. She was praying blocking the entrance to one of those. That's why you go to jail. She wasn't just outside. She wasn't in the alley next door. She wasn't outside the window.
Truth is redefined. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 = 4. 11, hypocrisy from government agencies. The Ministry of Peace concerns itself with war. The Ministry of Truth with lies. The Ministry of Love with torture. And the
So you're saying the Patriot Act was bullshit?
Ministry of Plenty with starvation. These contradictions are not accidental, nor do they result from ordinary hypocrisy. They are deliberate exercises in doublethink. Remember, the FBI is a terrorist organization. It's the American Stasi.
Fuck you. Can I, real quick, Jesus Christ. Hold on. Let me just show you something. Here's what just so you know, I want you to know that Glenn Beck is attacking the FBI. Yes? Yeah, this is abundantly clear. I'll just make these bigger so you can see them. Here's why Glenn Beck has been attacking the FBI. This is what the FBI has been up to lately. This Stasi. Newtown man sentenced for fentanyl trafficking in northwestern Missouri. Ecuadorian national pleads guilty to conspiring to smuggle over 1,700 kilograms of cocaine in international waters. Final defendant pleads guilty in racketeering scheme that resulted in the nationwide lockdown of the federal prison system. Kansas City business owner pleads guilty to wiring drug trafficking profits to Mexico. Monroe County man sentenced to 147 months imprisonment for drug trafficking and firearms violations. Wilkes Barre man convicted of fentanyl trafficking. Starr County justice of the peace and another sent to prison for roles in drug trafficking organization. Northeastern Kingdom man sentenced in drug conspiracy case. Member of international drug trafficking organization operating in Lane County sentenced to federal prison. Last of 20 defendants pleads guilty in vast methamphetamine conspiracy. I could say it. I'm fine. Waterbury gang member sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. Former Hartford resident involved in legal pill trafficking ring sentenced to 5 years in prison. FBI Chicago announces reward for information related to National Guardman's death. Local partners join FBI New Orleans to announce latest violent crime initiative, Operation Clean House. 3 admit to roles in Philadelphia drug trafficking organization. Vancouver, Washington, man charged federally for distributing fentanyl. Crack distributor heads to prison. Mercer County man admits to multiple narcotics distribution firearms charges. Felon pleads guilty to drug and firearm offenses. 9 defendants charged for roles in drug trafficking organization controlled by sex, money, murder, street gang. Former Panama City doctor agrees to $550,000 consent judgment to resolve FCA and CSA lawsuit. Browning man sentenced to more than 4 years in prison for methamphetamine trafficking on Blackfeet Indian Reservation. Gang member sentenced to 7 years in prison for racketeering and firearms. Foreign national sentenced to 7 years and 3 months for possession with intent to distribute meth. King of violent Haitian gang sentenced to 35 years in prison for gun smuggling and money laundering. Leader of 2 members, and this is fucking June. I'm still doing June. This is all June 24th. Drug trafficker sentenced to 180 months in prison. Fentanyl and meth trafficker sentenced to 14 years in prison. You can see why Glenn is upset. There you go. Here's what, this is just the FBI. There you go. Prison drug trafficking, federal drug crime. Portland man sentenced to federal prison for distributing fentanyl and stealing COVID relief program funds. Buffalo man going to prison on drug and gun charges. Jersey City man sentenced to 16 years in prison for narcotics and firearms offenses. Owners of Empire Market charged in Chicago with operating $430 million dark web marketplace. Remember that guy? Yeah. Burlington County man sentenced to 245 months in prison for heroin trafficking conspiracy. Final member of the Benton Harbor machine gun and drug trafficking investigation sentence. Tampa man and woman sentenced for narcotics and firearms offenses following jury conviction. Yakima man sentenced to 16 years in federal prison on drug trafficking charges. So Glenn is apparently pissed because I guess a bunch of money that he was hoping for, isn't making his way to his super chats or something.
Exist entirely to terrorize the American people on behalf.
No, they don't. Oh, and by the way, that's just, if I may, real quick. Hold on. This might be the reason. Let's see. This is. Yeah. This is. Let me show you. This is really. Why Glenn might be upset and want to understand that he and Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they all want to shut down the FBI. Why? Could it be the drug trafficking stuff? No, apparently they care about that. What could be the point? I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with these cases. I think these are the reasons why Matt Gaetz and Glenn Beck both hate the FBI. Former Rowan County teacher sentenced for production of child pornography. That's July 8th. New York man pleads guilty to traveling to Louisiana to engage in illicit sexual conduct with a 15-year-old female. I didn't even know Scott Ritter was still in the country. Kissimmee man who attempted to entice child to engage in sexual activity sentenced to more than 12 years in federal prison. St. Cloud man pleads guilty to attempting to entice a 14-year-old child to engage in sexual activity. Jury convicts Marion man of attempted enticement of a minor. Sylmar man arrested for allegedly using Instagram to advertise and distribute child sex abuse material and to commit sextortion. Saginaw man sentenced to federal prison for sexually exploiting minors. I'm not even out of July yet. Here you go. Adult film actor Justin Heath, a.k.a. Austin Wolf, charged with distribution of child pornography. I saw that on the Daily Beast site a little bit ago. Leon County man sentenced to prison for attempting coercion, enticement of a minor, and possession of child pornography. Bronx daycare provider sentenced to 25 years in prison for sexual exploitation of a child and producing child pornography. Now, I thought Democrats were the baby eaters, right? Right? We're the ones who don't arrest people during this. But the arrests on child pornography and child exploitation are up under Biden, and they were up under Obama. They took a huge dip while Trump was in office. All right, last couple, and then I got to go. Where is it? It's this one? Yeah, here we go.
Of a corrupt and evil regime. No. The FBI is the center of truth. Contradicting beliefs. Doublethink means the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one mind simultaneously.
Oh, you mean like that Donald Trump is sent by Jesus Christ personally to stop child sex traffickers, and he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and they only had a falling out over a piece of real estate. He didn't give a shit that Jeffrey Epstein was exploiting children at the local high schools and middle schools and on the grounds at Mar-a-Lago. Didn't give a shit. That'd be a great example, I think.
Accepting both of them. Just so we're clear here, Democrats who are campaigning against Trump based on dubious charges of sexual assault they engineered.
Whoa! Dubious charges of sexual assault they engineered. Now, I'm assuming he means the charges are what they engineered and not the assault.
Are still inviting people like Bill Clinton to headline big ticket events, along with.
Oh, you mean Bill Clinton's suspect because he was in the Epstein flight logs less than Trump was?
His relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
It's kind of weird that you would bring him up.
Even though that's been well established, they're still okay with that.
No, if it turns out he was messing around in that stuff, he should go. But the weird part is that you guys seem to blow past the fact that and act like Trump's not even involved at all, much less RFK Jr. Both of them flew with Jeffrey Epstein many times over many years.
13. Dates altered. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been...
Oh, you mean like the Florida education system?
Repainted. Every statue, street building has been renamed.
Oh, you mean like when, decades after the end of the Civil War, the South started putting up statues of people like Robert E. Lee because of the Civil Rights Act, because of the Civil Rights Movement, to like warn black people that, if they came to your town, they would see a statue of Robert E. Lee or somebody like them and realize they're not safe here. So you'd put them up as kind of threats, essentially. It was easier than hanging nooses on every tree.
Date has been altered. Well, in an attempt to replace Easter, the most important Christmas or Christian holiday of the year.
Yes, I think Easter is the most important Christmas holiday of the year. Except Christmas, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
With Transgender Day.
It was an overlap. They didn't get replaced. That's a lie, by the way. This would be propaganda.
I think, that kind of does it.
No, it kind of doesn't.
This is the beginning and worse.
Also, what might do it, this might be better, hold on, is taking Easter, and that was the Feast of Ishtar, and which was a pagan fertility holiday, which is why rabbits and eggs and chocolate being the original date rape drug, because it has a drug in it that makes you feel like you're in love, and people used to not fuck unless they felt like they were in love with someone, because it was for the long haul, and there was no such thing as contraceptives back there except spilling your seed on the ground, which was a big no-no. You would hunt for eggs, and then there would be bunnies around, and it was the last day you could kind of have sex and have a baby, so the baby would be born before winter, and so that's why it's scheduled on that particular day. The eggs being representative of the eggs inside a woman, the rabbits being kind of like, why don't we mess around like they do? Look how they procreate. Do you understand? If anybody procreates, it's the rabbits. That you take that holiday, which existed for millennia, and then you just overlay it on top the holiday where Jesus is slaughtered for being a nice guy. So it was actually, in some ways, it was originally a pagan holiday, which was very sexual, and it was borrowed for a time by, the Gregorian kind of calendarization of the Christian faith, and then it's kind of borrowed back. Yes, for real, Anna. Yeah. Easter is a pagan. That weekend. It's why it moves around. It's not on a particular date. All right.
Is coming. 14, no trust. We have cut the links between child and parent, between man and man, no man and woman.
Says a guy who looks like he's living in the bully's bedroom from A Christmas Story.
No one dares trust a wife or a child or a friend any longer.
You mean believe all women? Something you rejected? Nobody trusts a woman or a child? You mean like the credible sexual assault charges in the recent release of the Epstein grand jury testimony from Katie Johnson, who says she was sexually assaulted by Donald Trump and he threw money at her while she was tied to a bed and said, get a fucking abortion? You mean like not believing a woman or a child in that situation, Glenn? Or you mean just like pretending you never even fucking heard it?
But in the future, there will be no wives. There will be no friends. And
well, that's Trump's future, sure. There's a great old Hannity clip about the war on Christmas, him debating an atheist and almost crying at the end. Really? Why would he be crying at the end? Hannity doesn't give a shit about Christmas.
And statistics.
Not really. I mean, he pretends to, I'm sure. It's necessary for their job, but you think that fucker worries about the birth of Christ as an ideology? Have you heard him talk ever?
Statistics are lies.
By the way, I happen to think, even with all my swearing and shit, that I I fall well within the category of shit that Jesus would be very comfortable with, and I'm a hell of a nice guy.
The fabulous statistics continued to pour.
I'm no Jimmy Carter, but I try.
Out of the telescreen. As compared with last year, there was more food, more clothes, more houses, more furniture, more cooking pots, more fuel, more ships, more helicopters, more books, more babies, more of everything, except for poverty, disease, crime, and insanity. That is where we are, America.
No, it is not. The world is not on fire, and they're not selling us that everything is great. As a matter of fact, the news is telling us the U.S. is doing worse than it actually is. The general public actually thinks things are worse because Big Brother's not a thing. You know who is? Little Brother. Places like The Blaze and the fucking Daily Caller and shit have been lying to people, telling them that their world is shit and that they're worse off than they would be. It would be better off if you'd be better off if you were alive during the 1600s. It would be safer. You'd be better fed and happier. And until any contagious disease came along, or you got a fucking scratch on a rusty nail, and then of course you lose your foot. But other than that, it was fucking sweet.
We are living in 1984.
No, we are not. Or, well, I mean, granted, my hair is still pretty long, but we'd be having a lot more fun. I'm just saying. We're not even in the book 1984, you asshole. All right, I got to go. You guys are wonderful. I stayed over because I wanted to do that. But again, I want to remind everybody, while you're watching the wailing and gnashing of teeth and the kind of remnants of the bullshit argument that Biden should step out of the race, which is not going to happen. That's all going to go away. That talking point is already dead. There's somebody over there trying to give it mouth to mouth, but they called it a couple of days ago. It's all nonsense. And even in the face of what is effectively, as you've been told, a devastating debate that was the worst in history, this is what Glenn Beck is talking about. This is what Sean Hannity has managed to squeak out of his empty fucking head. This is the interview that Trump gave. This is the attack on Biden from Jimmy Dore that you saw earlier today. That's how pathetic the argument against Biden is, even with the debate. Because they know that A, Joe's been doing great. On a material level, it's been, success after success. And that Donald Trump is beyond the gibberish and the blather and all that stuff, is a fucking scumbag. Hit the like, everybody. Send me some love if you could. Support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Tomorrow morning, Titus and Philip Ittner. It's going to be a good time. Hit that like, share it, and I will see you guys bright and early.